There is one quiet rule Sigma males follow that flips every social hierarchy on its head. They never compete for a position that doesn't matter to them. While everyone else is fighting for rank, approval, or attention, the Sigma simply steps outside the system entirely. And the moment he refuses to play the game loses its power over him. People don't know how to place him. They don't know how to control him. They don't know how to predict him. He moves through the world with a calm detachment that the hierarchy can't measure. And because he isn't trying to climb it, he ends up above it. This quiet rule is what makes him so disruptive. While others exhaust themselves trying to impress, dominate, or belong, the Sigma channels his energy inward, sharpening his mind, protecting his peace, elevating his purpose. He learns that true power doesn't come from being at the top of a structure. It comes from not needing the structure at all. And the more he withdraws from external validation, the more magnetic he becomes. People who once overlooked him begin watching him. Those who underestimated him start respecting him. He doesn't challenge the hierarchy. He makes it irrelevant. And in that irrelevance, he becomes the one person the hierarchy can't contain. Before you go, let me ask you, have you ever stepped outside a social system and realized you were stronger without it? If you reach the final line, comment "off great power" to show it. And for more ultra-wise deep psychology storytelling like this, subscribe now. The next insight is already on its way. He refuses to compete for status, which instantly removes the hierarchy's power over him. A Sigma male breaks every social hierarchy the moment he decides he will not compete for status. While most people spend their lives climbing ladders, comparing themselves, and seeking a place at the top, the Sigma quietly steps to the side. He sees the scramble for recognition, the desperation for approval, the constant rivalry, and he opts out entirely. This refusal confuses people. It frustrates them because hierarchies only work when everyone agrees to play the game. When someone refuses to compete, the entire structure loses its leverage, and the Sigma becomes the one person the hierarchy cannot manipulate, reward, or punish. The system has no hold on him because he doesn't want what it offers. This choice isn't rooted in arrogance or rebellion. It is rooted in clarity. He understands that status is temporary, externally controlled, and often meaningless. Recognition depends on the whims of others. Rank depends on someone else's rules. Popularity shifts with trends. None of it is stable enough to build a life around. So he chooses something stronger: autonomy. He invests his energy in mastering his craft, developing his character, and strengthening his internal world. While others chase applause, he chases competence. While others fear being overlooked, he embraces invisibility, because it gives him freedom to move without expectation, and the more he detaches from status, the more powerful he becomes. In ways the hierarchy can't measure or control. Those trapped in the hierarchy try to provoke him into competing. They test him, they compare themselves to him. They expect him to defend, prove, or assert himself, but he gives them nothing. No reaction, no insecurity, no interest. And in that calm refusal, the truth becomes obvious. The hierarchy depends on participation, and he is the one man who cannot be pulled into its orbit. The system that defines everyone else cannot define him. That makes him unpredictable, untouchable, a variable no one can account for. Ironically, the moment he stops competing, he rises, not in the hierarchy, above it. People begin respecting him without him seeking respect. They follow his lead without him trying to lead. They sense a kind of power that isn't granted by rank, but by self-possession. And that is the paradox of the Sigma. By refusing to compete for status, he becomes the one person whose presence quietly outranks everyone in the room. He chooses autonomy over recognition, making him unpredictable and untouchable. A Sigma's power comes from a decision that most people never dare to make. He chooses autonomy over recognition. While the world trains people to chase applause, approval, and acknowledgement, the Sigma walks a different path, one where freedom matters more than being seen, and sovereignty matters more than being praised. Recognition ties a man to expectations. It invites pressure, scrutiny, and the need to perform. But autonomy gives him room to move unseen, unpressured, unmanipulated. When he chooses that over external validation, he becomes a figure the hierarchy cannot place or control. People don't know what he wants because he doesn't want what they offer. They don't know how to motivate him because he isn't motivated by rewards. They don't know how to intimidate him because he isn't afraid of losing visibility. This makes him unpredictable, and unpredictability is a form of quiet dominance. Most people are deeply influenced by how others perceive them. Their behavior shifts with approval. Their choices bend under judgment. Their ambitions shrink or inflate based on external reactions. But a Sigma who chooses autonomy operates on a different frequency. He does not move to impress anyone. He does not speak to be applauded. He does not live to be admired. His actions come from internal alignment, not public expectation. This independence makes him nearly impossible to manipulate. You can't bribe a man who doesn't care about recognition. You can't shame a man who doesn't seek acceptance. You can't pressure a man whose direction comes from within. He becomes, in essence, untouchable. Immune to social leverage. What confuses people most is his ability to disappear without warning and reappear stronger than before. Because he does not seek recognition, he has no obligation to maintain an image. He evolves in private, improves in silence, and grows with no audience required. This hidden growth is why he often returns to the world sharper, wiser, and more unshakable. Those who rely on external validation plateau early. A Sigma, anchored in autonomy, never stops expanding. His unpredictability isn't chaos, it's evolution, happening beyond anyone's view. As he continues choosing autonomy, people begin sensing a depth they cannot define. They notice his movements but cannot predict them. They recognize his presence but cannot label it. He becomes a man outside the system, observed but not understood, respected but not owned. And that is the essence of Sigma power. The quiet mastery of a man who needs nothing from the world, making him the one person the world can never influence. He observes the hierarchy instead of participating in it, giving him strategic clarity others lack. A Sigma male's power begins with a choice that seems subtle from the outside, but is revolutionary on the inside. He refuses to step onto the social battlefield where everyone else is fighting for position. While others scramble for influence, compete for attention, and negotiate for rank, he stands slightly outside the circle, watching instead of engaging. And that distance, that refusal to play the game, gives him a level of clarity the participants inside the hierarchy can never achieve. When you are not emotionally invested in winning a hierarchy, you can see every player's move without bias. You can read intent instead of reacting to pressure. You can track patterns without being consumed by ego, conflict, or competition. This is the Sigma's advantage. Observation over participation, analysis over performance, detachment over desperation. Most people are blinded by their desire to climb. They mistake noise for importance, status for power, and movement for progress. In their rush to be seen, they stop seeing clearly. But the Sigma's mind stays quiet. His attention sharpens. He notices what others overlook. Who is insecure? Who is manipulating? Who is pretending? Who is actually powerful? And who is simply loud? This kind of insight is only possible when you aren't inside the hierarchy trying to defend your position. The Sigma doesn't care about rank, so he can see the truth behind rank. He doesn't chase approval, so he can read the desperation of those who do. His distance becomes his lens, and through it, The entire social structure becomes transparent, and because he is not bound to the hierarchy, no one can predict his moves. He doesn't follow the rules everyone else agrees to. He doesn't wait for permission. He doesn't seek advantage through social climbing. He finds it through strategic understanding. People inside the hierarchy act reactively. The Sigma acts intentionally. They push for dominance. He maneuvers for efficiency. They fight for validation. He focuses on outcome. That's why he often succeeds without ever entering the race. He sees the shortcuts the competitors are too distracted to notice. He sees the weaknesses the leaders are too arrogant to guard. He sees the turning points long before others recognize the shift. His clarity becomes power, the kind of power that does not need titles, applause, or recognition. By staying outside the hierarchy, he rises above it. He becomes the one the hierarchy cannot predict, cannot pressure, and cannot control. He builds power internally, not socially, making his confidence immune to rankings. A Sigma male breaks every social hierarchy the moment he decides that real power isn't something handed out by groups, leaders, or social systems. It's something built privately, quietly, and relentlessly within himself. While others chase status, titles, and recognition, the Sigma invests in what no one can take away: skill, discipline, self-awareness, emotional control, and an unshakable inner compass. His confidence isn't built on applause. It isn't built on being chosen. It isn't built on being seen. It is built on the kind of self-mastery that hierarchy cannot measure. And because his power comes from within, it cannot be reduced by comparison or inflated by praise. Rankings don't move him. Opinions don't shape him. Position doesn't define him. He becomes a man whose worth is self-generated, and that makes him untouchable. This internal power grows in silence, far from the noise of competition. He sharpens his mind when no one is watching. He develops resilience through challenges no one knows he faced. He strengthens his intuition through solitude others are too afraid to enter. And he builds a life that doesn't rely on approval to function. While the hierarchy rewards those who perform, he evolves in ways the audience can't comprehend. His confidence is not loud, it is steady. Not dependent, it is self-sustaining. Not fragile, it is forged through adversity. And because he never ties his identity to external rank, no one can knock him down simply by outranking him. You cannot defeat someone who does not measure himself by your metrics. People inside the hierarchy never understand where his confidence comes from. They assume he must have a hidden advantage, secret supporters, or effortless luck. But the truth is simpler. His power doesn't come from the social world, so the social world has no influence over it. You can't intimidate him by threatening his status. You can't shame him by comparing his rank. You can't motivate him with recognition. His confidence isn't a reaction to anything outside him. It is an expression of everything he has built internally. That's why he moves differently. That's why he speaks differently. That's why he carries himself like a man who doesn't need permission to exist fully. By building power internally, he becomes immune to the hierarchy's biggest weapon, the belief that worth is ranked. He rejects the entire system, not with rebellion, but with indifference. And in doing so, he rises above it. Because the one man the hierarchy can never control is the man who built his strength in a place they cannot access, his own mind. He doesn't seek approval from authority, which destabilizes traditional power dynamics. A Sigma male becomes unpredictable the moment he stops recognizing authority as something that defines him. While most people unconsciously adjust their behavior to please leaders, impress supervisors, or gain the favor of those above them, the Sigma remains unmoved. Approval is not a currency he trades in. Validation is not a reward he chases. And because he operates outside the emotional economy that hierarchies depend on, authority figures lose their leverage over him. They cannot motivate him through praise, nor can they control him through fear. His independence disrupts the entire structure because hierarchy relies on obedience, and obedience requires the desire to be accepted. The Sigma has no such desire. When he interacts with authority, there is no performance, no strategic compliance, no attempt to be seen as worthy. He listens, evaluates, and decides based on his own internal compass, not on expectations. This alone creates discomfort among those accustomed to being admired or obeyed. They can't read him, can't predict him, and most importantly, can't influence him. His neutrality confuses him. His silence unsettles him. His lack of dependence on approval breaks the psychological frameworks they rely on to maintain control. In a world where people are shaped by fear of judgment, the Sigma stands out as a man who has outgrown that fear entirely. Authority expects deference, he offers clarity instead. This refusal to seek approval transforms every interaction. When someone tries to intimidate him, he does not flinch. When someone tries to impress him, he remains unchanged. When someone attempts to pressure him, he simply withdraws emotionally, cutting off the energy source manipulators depend on. His self-worth cannot be raised by praise or lowered by disapproval, making him immune to the emotional manipulation that authority often uses as a tool of influence. Those who rely on status to command respect quickly realize their rank has no value in his world. Respect must be earned through integrity, not demanded through position. And because he sees through pretense instantly, he offers genuine respect rarely. But when he does, it holds weight. The Sigma breaks power structures by refusing to play the game. He does not rebel loudly, he simply operates independently. And independence is the one thing hierarchy cannot absorb or control. Once authority recognizes it cannot shape him, it must adjust to him, not the other way around. Because a man who needs no approval is a man no system can ever truly own. He creates his own path, forcing others to adjust to his direction instead of the other way around. A Sigma male never waits for permission to move, and he never looks for a trail to follow. While most people scan the world for a ready-made blueprint, a predefined ladder, a familiar pattern, a safe path, the Sigma recognizes that every structure built by others comes with their limitations attached. So he steps away from the noise, studies the terrain with quiet precision, and carves a direction that reflects his instincts rather than society's expectations. This act alone shifts power, because the moment a man stops following the map everyone else uses, he stops being controlled by the boundaries on that map. And when he starts moving in a direction no one predicted, people must choose, adjust, or be left behind. His path is never dramatic or impulsive, it's intentional. He moves with the quiet confidence of someone who knows that originality is stronger than conformity. Each step he takes is guided by observation, internal logic, and an unshakable commitment to remaining free. And this independence forces the world to reorient around him. People who once tried to influence his choices find themselves struggling to understand his direction. Those who underestimated him begin watching him more closely. Even those who doubted him feel an unsettling pull, the sense that his path will lead somewhere they secretly wish they had the courage to go. Without asking for followers, he attracts them. Without trying to lead, he sets the pace. What makes his path so disruptive is not just that it's different, it's that it's self-connected. Hierarchies lose relevance when someone no longer measures himself by their standards. Social expectations crumble when he stops caring whether anyone approves. His independence becomes a gravitational force, shifting dynamics in ways others cannot ignore. People expect compromise, negotiation, alignment, but he navigates life with a quiet refusal to shrink or bend to environments that do not match his vision. If something doesn't align with his identity, he walks away. If someone tries to redirect him, he remains unmoved. His path exists because he built it, not because anyone allowed it. Over time, the world adapts to him, not the other way around. His direction becomes a reference point, his silence becomes a form of authority, and his choices reshape the space he moves through. Because when a Sigma male creates his own path, he stops being part of the crowd and becomes the force the crowd must adjust to. He influences quietly, leading without trying to lead, and people follow naturally. A Sigma male never steps forward with the intention of being anyone's leader, yet people gravitate toward him as if drawn by an invisible force. His influence does not come from authority, status, or loud declarations. It comes from presence, the kind of steady, unshaken presence that stands firm even when everything around him shifts. While others try to lead by convincing, commanding, or performing, the Sigma leads by example. He lives in alignment with his values, moves with quiet confidence, and makes decisions rooted in clarity rather than fear. That authenticity becomes magnetic. People sense the stability in him, the independence, the refusal to be pulled by trends or manipulated by pressure. Without lifting a finger, he creates a standard others want to follow. He doesn't speak to impress, he speaks when necessary. He doesn't try to control outcomes, he adapts with precision. He doesn't ask for loyalty, he earns it. And because he never chases influence, his influence becomes stronger. People trust what isn't trying to convince them. They listen to the man who stays calm when others spiral. They observe his restraint, his discipline, his refusal to react impulsively, and they quietly begin mirroring him. His leadership is not loud, but it's transformative. It makes others question their own behaviors, reflect on their choices, and elevate their mindset simply by watching him operate. He becomes a mirror that exposes who they are and a compass that points to who they could become. What makes his leadership so powerful is that it comes from self-mastery. He manages his emotions, controls his environment, and protects his peace with unwavering discipline. People follow him because he embodies the traits they wish they had: focus, clarity, independence. In a world filled with noise and ego-driven performers, his silence becomes a form of authority. His boundaries become lessons. His decisions become signals. Even those who don't understand him feel compelled to respect him, because his energy does not ask, it establishes. When he walks away from chaos, others suddenly notice the chaos for what it is. When he chooses solitude, others question the noise they've attached themselves to. His actions create shifts without needing explanations. Eventually, his influence spreads, not through intention, but through impact. People adjust their pace to his, not because he asked them to, but because following him feels like stepping into clarity. He leads without leading, shapes without speaking, and changes dynamics simply by being who he is. This is the quiet power of the Sigma male, influence born from authenticity, not ambition. In the end, the Sigma male never needed a crowd to validate him. The crowd validated itself by following his silence, his discipline, and his direction. If this breakdown helped you understand the quiet power behind his influence, then tell me something. Which part of the Sigma mindset do you personally resonate with the most? Drop the word obscura in the comments so I know you watched until the end. And if you want more deep psychology insights like this, subscribe. New videos are on the way.